Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Dana, you and I went to an event recently called the Rebel event. Had you gone the year before or no?
No, this was my first time in Columbus,
Yeah,
Ohio. Yes. I did not get to go last year.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, it's a big event that gets put on, I think, in Columbus, maybe some other cities also, in Columbus, Ohio. And they had some great speakers. And main reason I went is because Dr. Benjamin Hardy was the keynote, and I love Dr. Benjamin Hardy. So he and I've gotten to be really good friends over the years since he interviewed me in 10X is Easier and 2X. And so I was super excited to go hear him. But we also had some other guests that were speakers and kind of room full of mostly realtors. I think they're open for all businesses, but I think 99% was realtors. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a huge, I think they had over 700 this year. And it's put on by local lenders and vendors, just local vendors. Yeah.
And I think a mortgage company, a big mortgage company there supports it. So let's start. We'll kind of just share some of our takeaways for those that didn't get to go, or maybe those that were at the event but got something different than we got.
Gosh, I know. And I'm trying to look through because I took pictures. I had just so many. Well, they opened, let's see. Well, not open. There's a couple that spoke, but one of the first guys that went was Tyler Mount, and he's the CEO of Henry Street Creative. He was the guy who talked about social media, and he was pretty funny. he was hilarious. He had done a lot of marketing and social media help with Ryan Serhant, who most people in the real estate industry know now, but I got a lot of great stuff from him. And to be honest, I've actually been emailing back and forth. I have a Zoom with him this coming week because I'm asked him to do one strategy session Zoom. I just had several questions on some of the things that he talked about. But he talked a lot about just how realtors today, I'm trying to think of the main thing that he said. It was something about, hold on, I'm looking through my notes right now. But he talked a lot about tracking everything that we're doing between your CRM, your newsletters. He said that LinkedIn is back with a bang right now, the LinkedIn life hack.
Yeah.
He talked a lot about that, which kind of surprised me. The power of authenticity. But I think he was the one who said no, it was Jared James. Never mind. Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. But Tyler gave just a lot of really tactical things on social media. I mean, he said now filtered content is out, text-heavy graphics are out, sales-focused content is out. I mean, just being authentic, and it's stuff that I already knew, but it was just a great reminder of people want to see you and what you do and a behind the scenes and a day in the life and all that stuff. They don't necessarily want to see you sold another he just was great. I mean, he gave a lot of tactical stuff.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we had, of course, Lauren Lucas is fabulous at AI, but something I always think about, what are the people in the audience thinking and how are they feeling, especially because I remember every change that we've had in real estate, some people will get absolutely overwhelmed and just freeze. And the truth is you can just calm down because you have plenty of time, but you don't have forever. So my thought was, if you haven't nailed social media, you need to nail that first. And then you can focus on AI, because I think if you try to focus on both, you're just going to be overwhelmed and you're going to freeze. I remember when the internet was coming out and I was at a Tom Ferry event and I was sitting next to a lady and you could just see her almost hyperventilate. And I just put my hand over on her and I said, it's okay. We're still a face-to-face business. People do business with people who are sitting in front of them. And I said, all you got to do is be the person sitting in front of them. And I remember her just kind of freaking out. And I think every time we get a new big change, that happens. And I think we just need to not focus on the whole thing. It's like an elephant's one bite at a time. Doesn't matter where you start. But I think people can get overwhelmed. And I just said, if I were starting over again today, because when I think about how I built my career, even though really the strategies are the same, it's about marketing and branding and people seeing you. the tools you have now is totally different, right? But
Yeah.
I think about the things that I did that was so different than everyone else was silly ads like being on top of a house and say, list your house with us and we'll get right on it. As quirky as that sounded, it got people's attention. It was so different than what everybody else was doing.
I
And then I
love
think
that.
also just saying, how do I serve these people? What do they need? Or how do I just focus on what they need? And how do I focus
Mhm.
on other people in my community? I think takes the pressure off. Cause I remember when I first started doing video, press would try to put me these teleprompter things up and I just couldn't do it. I mean, I sounded horrible. I think I even had people comment, this is awful, or something. What are you doing? But it was so true because I wasn't being able to be authentic. And that's
Yeah,
why I think if you looked at some of those people that were on stage talking about all the things they do on social media, I'd be like, oh my God, I would never do that.
I know
But the truth is it's not me, but it's them. And it
them.
works for the people who want to do business with them. So I think we need to stop trying to be uh, someone we're not and just be who we are and then
Hmm.
come from the heart and figure out how do you serve the community that you're trying to serve.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I mean, he said, um, the power of authenticity is so strong because you were born to be original, so don't die a copy. And I loved when he said that because I was like, that's good. It's so true, but it is. I mean, you have to be the way you have to figure out the way that you can be, and then go be that way. But I agree with you, Linda. Like, nail the social media before you go all in on the AI stuff if you're trying, because I'm seeing a lot of agents who are getting passed up in market share because they're not all in on social media right now.
Yeah.
They're ignoring it, and I don't know why, but they are.
Yeah.
Um, we had Glenda Baker. That was actually the first time I heard her. And ironically, oh my gosh, Linda, one of the highlights of the whole event for me was getting to hang out with Jean, your friend. I just love her so much.
I know Jean's special.
She is the best. I mean, she is so sweet. But a lot of what Glenda said reminds me of how Jean's built her whole business. Glenda called it the emotional lock-in. And she
Yeah.
said it's the cupcakes, it's the baby blankets, it's the frame photos, it's the wine with Tiffany glasses. And I mean,
Yeah.
we've had Jean on our podcast talking about how she emotionally locks in with her clients, and it's created a huge business for her. So Glenda to me was kind of like what John Maxwell says, it's not about learning something new, but remembering what is true.
Yeah.
She's just locked in with, client care and gifting. And she definitely is an authority. Then she's built, herself into that on social media. But I mean, you can tell that she knows her clients and she knows her database and her sphere, and it has paid off big time.
Yeah. So true. Well, I think more and more, and I remember Terry Morler that we had on our podcast too, how
Yeah.
she was always going on social media and seeing someone had had a baby
Prostitute
or
or
got a
whatever. Yeah.
driver's license and got a gas card from her. I mean, I think just more and more people, well, I don't think this is a new need, but I think people need to feel special and
Yeah.
that you remember them. I don't remember if I told you this story or not, but when we first went up to Oklahoma, there was a young guy at the desk. Gosh, I'm trying to remember his name on the spot, which is never a good thing. And he immediately, you could tell he loved to bake. His thing was baking and all that stuff. And so when I immediately thought of the book, remember the book we got from the cake lady? I forgot what it's
Oh
called.
yeah.
She was we saw her in Vegas with John Maxwell. And so
Yeah.
I remembered I had, you know what I'm talking about?
I can't remember her name.
Yeah, me
That'll drive
either.
me.
Hey, at least I feel better. It's not just me. Your young
No,
brain
it's
can't
not
remember the
me.
name. But anyway, I remember I had a signed copy of the book for her, and I went home and immediately mailed that to him because I thought
Oh,
this will be so special to him. And so I think if you just, I guess that's probably the Holy Spirit kind of nudging you a little bit of how to help
yeah.
somebody feel special or do whatever. And I get so much joy from doing that. And I think the better you know your clients and the more you can kind of nail something that would be special to them,
Hmm.
I think that matters to people.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, totally. Yeah, she's got that down. She's definitely done that. Gosh, I'm trying to think who else. Oh, well, I mean, I've
You
loved.
could tend
Oh,
to want to judge her a little bit because she did use a lot of colorful language, but
yeah.
you can't deny that whatever she's doing works for her.
No, she's the perfect definition, Linda, of she is authentically her, and she attracts
Yeah.
the people that want to work with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Um, I was really looking forward to Jared James. I mean, when I followed him forever on social media since he really kind of became social media famous on Instagram during the pandemic, and I had him zoom into my offices during COVID, and he just did such a great job. But he is smart. I mean, he's very like brand agnostic. He doesn't get hung up in a lot of the brokerages or anything, but he knows the real estate market and the real estate industry. And he said
Yeah.
right now the biggest question that consumers are asking is, am I dealing with an amateur or a pro? And,
Mm.
you know, I'm seeing that. I mean, I'm seeing that a lot in the market right now, in our markets at least. And he said when people are confused or they're in confusion, nothing happens. And so that's a big reason why people have just kind of halted buying or selling right now, because they're confused. But it really kind of made me think to go back and at least share with my agents, the consumers are like, they're looking for a pro. And if you are not a pro, they can sniff it out real quick because
Yeah.
in this market, they want to work with a pro. And I think that was a great reminder for all the agents there.
Well, and I think too, I think about the book Shift that Gary wrote. In there, it talks about being a local expert. And honestly, one of the things that we did through Oklahoma last week was Anna has pulled some really cool stuff from the Empire Builders podcast
Yep.
that she uses. I think you've used it before too. She might have got it from you and you got it from
Yeah.
them. But anyway, it's a great podcast.
Great.
I don't know what episode it is, but they should go listen to it. But she's used a lot of that to help people kind of she uses a lot of what Gary, gives at the state of the company and
Yep.
the country and all that stuff. And so she uses a lot of that to teach them how to sound like a local economist, right?
Yeah.
And then she shares, kind of what that means in today's market. And depending on where you are, you could have somebody move from California and they're in a complete different market than you are in Oklahoma or Texas or, Carolinas or wherever.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be more and more important is for people to understand their local economy and what does it mean. And sometimes people don't really want to do that. That's not necessarily the sexy part of real estate, but it's super important because it's what
Mm-hmm.
helps people make a really good decision.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Well, and he basically said that too. He said, when the market opens back up, will you be the pro who's ready to answer all of their questions? So even when
Mhm.
we're in a downtime, one thing I keep telling all our agents is this is the year to really build your foundation, like deepen your skills, get your database 100% onto a touch plan. I mean, really, if you're slow right now, you should be working on all of that stuff, not just panicking at the house, so that by
Yeah.
next year when everyone is saying, and we'll hear this next week for week after next from Gary, but I think they're going to say, summer of 2027 is when it's really going to open back up. So why not be planting now so that, come summer of 2027, when the market opens back up, you are the pro, you're ready to go. The absolute biggest takeaway that I had from the whole, well, other than from Ben, but from everybody else other than Ben, was something that Jared James said. And it kind of contradicts what we've just talked about, but it goes with it. He said, visibility trumps ability now. And when as soon as he said that, I wrote it down and circled it, highlighted it, because he is very right. I mean, visibility trumps ability. And you can tell because you see people who are very visible, who maybe don't have as much experience as other people, but they're winning at a high level, and it's because they are more visible. And so I think
Yeah.
that kind of goes back to the social media thing when we were talking about Tyler and Glenda. You have to figure out how to be visible now, and it doesn't matter how old you are, what you look like, how long you've been in the business. I mean, visibility trumps ability, period.
And even like when I was building my real estate business, even though the means were different, I had full page ads, I had magazines, I had
You
billboards, I
had
had all those
visibility.
things.
Yeah,
That was it. And perception is reality. And
that's right.
if you can combine the two where they have, they visually see you and you show up and you know what you're talking about,
Yep.
you can't be stoppable. There's no way
Well,
anybody can stop you.
well, that's such a good point, Linda, because it's probably really that visibility has never not trumped ability. Because let's see,
That's right.
what years were that when you were doing all that? The 90s?
Well, probably, yeah, 90s. And here's the thing, the only real teachers out there was Mike Ferry teaching people how to prospect. And I
Right.
could see that there's got to be more businesses. Kleenex wasn't going out knocking on doors to get somebody to buy their Kleenex. And yet they were the brand that people recognized. So, and I hated it. And I was so miserable doing it. I'm like, there's got to be another way. So I
Yeah.
just went straight to marketing and
Yep.
completely against what was being taught. The only thing being taught
Mhm.
back then was prospecting. And I'm like, well, there's got to be another way. Big
You know what I
businesses don't
think?
go out and
You know why I think people probably struggle with it? So that's a great point, because I think visibility did trump ability even then in the 90s,
yes,
let's just say. The problem today is, there, when we said this earlier, there is so much that's trying to take mind share from us. So I mean,
yes,
you've got to figure out a strategic way to have more visibility now with the people that you want to have visibility with, because now they've got, their phone.
right.
Really, I mean, more than ever before.
Well, and to be honest with you, the other thing that happened, and this happens over time. So you got to make hay while the sun shines because everything changes. If you don't, I always, somebody says, well, what do you wish you'd done differently? More of it and faster.
Yes.
Everything. There's not a
Yes.
single thing in my life I wouldn't say that about.
Yep.
And a lot of it is because the barrier to get people to do what I was doing was money because it was
Mm,
expensive as heck to get a
yep.
billboard, a newspaper ad, magazines. That was expensive. Now the barrier is way lower to be visible.
Yep.
You just got to
Yep.
get a camera and get it in front of you. So the
Yep. That's
barrier
right.
is lower, so there's a lot more noise and a lot more competition in that space.
I told Adam the other night, we have all of our chats in the hot tub. Very rarely do we take our phones because we actually try to talk. But again, we were in the hot tub and we were talking, and I said to him, I'm so glad that I was an early adopter of social media. I cannot
Yes.
imagine today trying to say, I mean, it's possible. Don't, like, if you haven't, you still can't, like, the best time to, what do they say? The best time to plant a tree is today or whatever. So you still have to do
Yeah.
it today. But I'm very grateful that I was an early adopter and that I'm not trying to start from scratch right now.
Yeah.
And it made me think, Adam and I were talking about this in the hot tub, made me think about what Gary has always taught us with that adoption, like, graph that he draws or whatever. Majority of Americans are laggards. Like, they want to wait until
Yeah.
everybody else is on it, until they see it, that it's not going to go away, or, that all this other stuff, instead of getting, wanting to get on it at the very beginning, or even like pre-adoption stage, which I can't remember what that one's called, but I'm not as much that one as kind of the second one. I like to see,
Yeah.
like,
Me
it's
too.
a little bit proven, because I don't want to waste my time. But then once it is, I'll be like, okay, I'm ready to go. But I'm so glad that I was an early adopter, and I kind of learned that from Gary, because I just see people struggling with it.
Yeah. Well, and I think, now they sit on the sideline and think, well, it's too late, but still, it's never too late.
No,
It
it's
never
never
is.
too late.
And the other thing is a lot of people struggle with consistency. So there'll be people that you see now, this has always happened in real estate, that they flame up to the top and then they fizzle right back down to the bottom because they can't sustain it long term. Right. And
Yeah,
so much of what you do is, are you willing to go the long game in it? Can you stay in and keep in the game longer than anybody else?
that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I love Jared James. If you're a realtor and you're listening and you are not already following him, you should be. He gives very real, unbiased information, and he's very knowledgeable. I mean, he's great. I also loved one other thing he said. In 2026, it's not about being the most followed, it's about being the most findable. So, like,
Mm.
people have to be able to, find you on AI, and make sure you're on Google, and that Gemini is recommending you and all that stuff, because he said it's not about being the most followed, it's about being the most findable, because AI, so many people are going to AI. It was interesting because he asked that question in the audience. If you are going to, ask for a recommendation or whatever, like, raise your hand if you would go to ChatGPT before you would go to Google. I mean, there was only like probably 10 hand raised out of 700 that would still go to Google. I mean, everybody's going to AI for that stuff.
Oh yeah. Google is so annoying and slow now. We
Oh,
don't want to wait.
I know.
Terrible.
I know. It's wild. I mean, it really is. Yeah, it's wild. He also said one last thing I got from him. He said, the new culture hack is find stuff to talk about and talk about it that culture is talking about. So, like, not being, I don't know. I don't think people should get real. Like, I swear the last couple of weeks have about driven me nuts, because I'm like, I feel like everybody is so divisive on the internet
Yeah.
on Oh my gosh, it's just made me so sad. I'm like, people can't talk about anything without it being divisive. But he said, find things that are culturally, okay to talk about, and then talk about those things, like the top 10 restaurants in your city, or the, best places to shop, or best places to go get a facial, or whatever you're into. But that's the stuff that people want to know.
Well, and think about it. What are the questions we get asked about? People want to know what we're doing, what we're buying, what we're,
Yep.
new
Where we're
gadgets
going.
we're into, what all those things, or where we're going, what we're doing. And so if we're that way, and we're that way too, you and I are.
Oh,
Uh,
totally.
so if we're like that, then so is the rest of the world. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It was great. Gosh, I
All right.
guess really next was Ben.
Yeah, let's just cover Ben real quick as we're wrapping up.
Yeah.
I always love Ben, and I always think the greatest leaders simplify something that feels complicated.
Yep.
I mean, if you think about it, I know Ben is a simplifier. I know Gary Keller is a simplifier. Dan Sullivan is a simplifier. Really, John Maxwell's a simplifier.
Yep.
What they do is magic because they take something that has been right in front of our face forever, but we weren't able to see it until they named it. You know what I mean?
Ben is so great at that. I mean,
Yeah.
he's so great. Yeah, I mean, it was funny because a lot of people sitting around me were like, he's so smart. He's so smart,
You have to hear him more than once. I was telling him on he's got a old audio out. It's called something about Slipstream or something like that, which is some name that probably if you're in Jedi stuff, and I don't even know, but
I don't know.
but it's about time. And I remember walking outside in the summer, listening to it over and over and over again but here's the thing I've also noticed. What Ben is teaching us isn't new stuff. Jordan Peterson, who's the big guy that everybody goes to see that's huge that we had him at family reunion? Sorry.
Tony Robbins.
Yes, him, all of them have been saying just in different ways. And so I always love the fact that this is stuff that's been around forever and ever, but it's the way someone presents it to you when you're ready to hear the message.
It's so true. Yeah, it's so true. He did a great job. I mean, I loved when he talked about, I had just a goal properly set is halfway reached, like really setting the right goal and knowing, the why behind it matters. And he gave a book, Measure What Matters, the simple idea that drives 10x growth. And it must have been an older one because I'd never heard of it, but I actually ordered it. I haven't gotten it yet. But Measure What Matters, he said, by John Doerr, Doerr. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But then, oh man, what I loved, I think it was a Steve Jobs quote maybe that he shared, but he broke down and he said, people
think 1,000 things.
Yes. He said, people think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on, but that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that there are. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things.
Gosh, and that's so hard to do.
And then the second one after that, he said, a novice is easily spotted because he tries to do too much.
Ugh, that one hurt.
That hurt bad. I know. I was like, oh, I'm getting better at that every year.
Yes.
Yeah. But it does. It hurts. And then the essence of strategy is choosing what not to do. And he recommended Competitive Strategy by Michael somebody. I didn't get the last name on that.
And you know what's funny is as I've been trying to introduce this to people, and especially realtors, that the power of this and how I've used it in my own life. The one of the things I notice people get hung up with is, but if I set a big goal, what if I don't hit it? And I really hadn't thought about that very much. But the thing, it's kind of like when Dan Sullivan says he sets to live 156. It's the power of setting something so big and what it does from where you are to even trying to get there, not that you get there. And so many people struggle because they think, well, what if I don't hit it? And I always say, well, you'll still be farther than if you keep setting these small goals that nothing has to change.
That's right.
You still will make it. You'll accomplish more than you've ever accomplished. But there is some kind of struggle that people have, and maybe it's that failure thing that they're afraid of failure, that they won't start if they don't think they can actually hit it. So it's been really an eye opener for me to see that is something that stops people. Is what if I set too big a one and I don't hit it?
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. Did you see they released this week? It's not out yet. I think it comes out in April, but John Maxwell's new book, Return on Failure, the cover is out and
Oh, I
he's
love.
having people pre-order. I think it's going to be one of his biggest ones yet
And Failing Forward is my favorite of all times with his anyway. That's
this has
always been
been,
my favorite book by him, Failing
oh,
Forward.
really? Yeah. Then this one will probably be right
Yeah.
up there. You'll probably love it then. It looks so good. But I'm glad that he's doing it because it's exactly what you just said. People, I do think that they don't set the big goals because they don't want to fail at it.
Yeah. And I think we've got more and more generations coming up that way, that we somehow got to really get the message across that failing is the way you get there. And until you are willing to be okay with failing, you're probably not going to get the kind of success you could get.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. The
Awesome.
last thing that Ben had that I wrote down was we are kept from our goal not by obstacles but by a clear path to a lesser goal. So I mean that's exactly what we said. Just basically you're choosing to go after something small instead of go after the really, really big thing.
Yeah, you're going after things that you already have the credentials to get, rather than go after something that you have no idea how you're going to get it.
That's right. Yeah.
So remember, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please go ahead and do that now. And the greatest compliment you can pay Dana and I is a couple of things. One, be sure and give us a great review. And then second of all, and most of all, pass it on, this podcast, on to someone that you think that would benefit from the conversations. If you have an opportunity, a challenge, a question, or a guest that you think would fit well on the podcast, be sure and reach out to us, info@everything life and real estate. Dana, I'll see you at Family Reunion.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.